Hello, hello, and welcome to the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania, the Tricky Triangle Pocono Raceway for round number 8 of the Elite JoinAPS Cup Series 2021A season. My name is Rishiv Khosla in the booth here alone for the start of this race. My typical partner, David Westergren, unfortunately not able to join us for the start of this event. Should be joining us, though, as we get going here. Though qualifying underway right now, you're watching the 31 car of Gerald Campbell as he sets his first lap time. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. We're certainly in crunch time regarding this season as Gerald takes that 31 car to the top of the timing sheets with a 53.897 lap time, though he's just beaten there by Chuck Sweeting in that number 75 car. Crunch time, man. It's we got 4 more races to go, and Gerald calls it there. Chad Frankenfield in the 15 car just takes his Ford Mustang, that championship winner from last season, takes that Ford Mustang to the pole position. He's going to, looks like, slow it down there off of turn 1 and call that a successful qualifying session. Andrew Rucker right now sits in the 6th position. We've got Pocono Raceway, Charlotte Motor Speedway, Darlington, and the Daytona Oval as Andrew Rucker slams into the wall there off of turn 2. He's going to be finished with his qualifying run, but yeah, 3 more races for guys to really kind of seal their way in before that wild card event at Daytona. A lot still to play for in this championship. We've had a few different winners so far this season. Josh Robin, Matthew Weeks, Colin Fern, and Tyler Fodey have all locked themselves into the chase with wins. R.C. Enerson currently has a win, though has not been has not met the attendance requirement that we have in the Elite Racing League. So he's going to have to find some miraculous way to point his way in. Though certainly grabbing pole right here at Pocono is one way that he can help make that happen. Take a look and see if we can find some other cars out on the racetrack. Colin Fern, one of those guys who has won a race this season, won at Watkins Glen. He's looking to grab win number 2. He's been aggressive on the short tracks that we've been at for the past couple of races. We'll see how the speed that this 86 car has had, it translates onto a larger racetrack like Pocono here. 2.5 miles, but not like some of the other 2.5 mile type racetracks that we do visit here on the calendar. You're braking, potentially even some shifting here, though I think with these high downforce packages, maybe not as much, but still a lot of movement, a lot of work for these drivers. 3 very, very different corners, and you see right there in the back, what turn 4? It's Pocono. Just 3 corners here at the Tricky Triangle. Tyler Fodey finishes up his qualifying run, can make it up to the 5th position. He'll be one of the last ones. And in the 36 car, you'll see Ryan Barbieri. That's because Ryan Lutz not making it here tonight. That 36 car, though, still has a charter, can still compete for constructor points. Ryan Barbieri doing his best to fill in here in that Smithfield Racing Chevy Camaro. Qualifying, though, comes to an end, and Barbieri not able to set a time, so 33rd best for him. It's going to be a long night for that 36 car. He's going to have to do some work to get back up the order. We'll now get to gridding the field here as they'll slowly load up here onto pit road. There you'll see everyone start to load in. We'll talk through the starting grid for today's race. The Signing Day Sports 200. R.C. Enerson with that pole position over Colin Fern. Ryan Gavel, your former points leader, lost it after a rough showing at Martinsville in 3rd position. Matthew Weeks rounding out that 2nd row. Tyler Fodey, David Tooker, Chad Frankenfield, and Chuck Sweeting round out your top 8. The rest of the field will continue to scroll by here on your screen. Bit of a surprise to see there the 37 car of Ethan Burrell a little bit further back in qualifying. Potentially a mistake, throws him further back in the order. He'll have some work to do to get back up to the front where we're used to seeing that particular car. You see there Ryan Barbieri in that 33rd position. A student of Ryan Lutz as well. Same with Hank Steinmiller. Both of those guys are going to be hoping to work their way forward. Same with Marcus Frucknicht, a non-charter driver, but has been very strong when he's been in attendance. Field continues to load in here, and we'll move over to that pole sitter, waiting for that pace car to kind of roll off here. And as we wait for the cars to roll, we'll head over and do just a quick ad break with a big shout out to our sponsors here at the Elite Racing Network, C2 Freight Resources, and Rich Mar Florist.
My name is John Cunningham with C2 Freight Resources. We are a Hub Zone certified logistics company here in Houston, Alabama. We've been in business for over 20 years, working with the Department of Defense and the federal government, among many other customers. C2 is committed to truckload shipments along with less than truckload shipments across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Our high level of service is what keeps our customers coming back year after year. Our industry-leading transportation management software, along with our tracking software, allow our customers to know where their shipments are at any time, any day. In closing, C2 Freight looks forward to earning your trust and business through actions day in and day out. We know if given the opportunity, you'll be pleased with our service and communication.
Mar Florist makes every day a special day, from weddings and large events to that little something for any occasion. Mar Florist has the perfect floral expression, and they're open online 24/7 at richmarflorist.com. Everywhere, every day. Mar's 2 retail locations offer a fantastic selection of floral creations, gifts, and home decor. Book your free consultation in our showroom for your special event needs, and visit us online at richmarflorist.com today.
And take a look. Excuse me, had some audio issues there. We are back. You saw that getaway there for those drivers. Going to take a look and see what happened here that brought out this first caution in turn 1. It was Michael Goodman in that number 44 car got caught up as actually it was the 12 car of Damian Leininger, I believe, that was spun around. So we'll head once back to the iRace Online replay. As Leininger, man, oh man, that 12 car can never, ever catch a break, can he? Let's take a look and see. He's had some internet issues in the past. We know that could potentially play a factor here. Here we go. Watch this 12 right there on the bottom. You see it's actually the, a car comes down into him, blinks for a second, and he's back on the racetrack. Hits Michael Goodman. Nowhere for Goody to go. Damn, that is a brutal break for both the 12 car, the 44 car, and also some of the other cars involved in that incident. Mark Keeler makes it through all right, but I believe Ryan Barbieri might have scraped through with a little bit of damage in that 36 car, and you see that 36 car now on pit road currently. He's going to try and get some of that damage repaired, try and get him moving back in the right direction. So on that initial start, it was Ryan Gavel who took that advantage from Colin Fern, grabbed that second position, but that now means that Gavel is in that kind of position where not super, that's not super advantageous. You don't have a great view at the pole sitter, and when they decide to launch. So we'll see how Gavel is able to fare this time, with Colin Fern struggling a little bit on that initial start. Look for Matthew Weeks to potentially capitalize. We know that Weeks loves these big racetracks. Field's rolling down the front straightaway. We still got the lights on the pace car here. Waiting for everything to sort itself out, guys, to pace. So just not even a corner there complete to start this event. But looks like that was a bit of a netcode or internet issue potentially. So hopefully those kind of things sort themselves out and we're able to get a clean race underway. Want to give a big shout out to Joshua Personette, one of our drivers who normally runs here in the JoinAPS Cup Series. Decided to take the night off. He's got Zach T. Evans driving that number 18 car here tonight. Zach Evans filled in for Richard Hines in the 87 last week at Martinsville. Was having a very solid run up until we unfortunately jinxed him. But we'll see how the run is for that 18 car here tonight. Shout out to Josh Personette watching from home. Back up front, R.C. Enerson. What can he do? He's a long way out points-wise. Currently in the 28th position. If he wants to try and make it into the chase, he's going to have to pull off some pretty crazy moves, pull off a lot of points within the next 4 races to guarantee his entry. But obviously, leading every lap, winning these races is going to help him make as big of a cut into the gap between him and that cutoff point as possible. Right now, it appears to be that I believe Joshua Clark is your cutoff driver in the number 28 car, though that may be moved back with a couple of other drivers outside of the top 10 with wins to their name. Nope, I do believe it is Joshua Clark who rounds out that chase standings right now in the 14th position. So certainly a lot to play for. Not a ton of different winners so far this season. We've had a couple of repeats, but we're looking to see if Ryan Gavel can potentially take the fight, try and grab that first win. Tyler Fodey has not been to victory, or has been to victory lane just once. Made it there for the first time last week. David Tooker, Chad Frankenfield, your reigning champion, has not been to victory lane quite yet. So a lot of big names still looking to get those cars out in victory lane. Your championship leader even, Johnny Thomas, in that 01 Manscaped car. Looking to try, or excuse me, that 09 Manscaped car, looking to try and make some inroads there. Grab a W before we get to chase racing. Lights are out on the pace car. They're 2x2. R.C. Enerson with that inside line once again. Ryan Gavel, though, on the outside this time. He's going to have Colin Fern right behind him. Gavel trying to see how his luck will fare, trying to get this restart to work. Again, that second place car, so difficult to time the restart just right. You're kind of reacting almost half a second after that leader decides to go, and you give up so much of that advantage to the 11 car. So again, watch for Matthew Weeks to be the guy moving forward on this first restart. That inside line is expected to roll a little bit faster with potentially delayed reaction, slowing down that outside line. Pace car is going to peel off here. You'll see it dive to the right-hand side of your screen, and R.C. Enerson's going to pace the field. Going to hit the loud pedal now, and again, there you see that late reaction from Ryan Gavel, but a late reaction as well from Matthew Weeks potentially saves him. Means that Gavel can slot into position on the bottom, though Matthew Weeks certainly not done yet. He's going to try and look to the bottom, try and make that move into turn one. They're 3 wide for second position. It's Ryan Gavel, Matthew Weeks. Colin Fern slots in behind the number 1 car. He's going to try and fight with Tyler Fodey, who tries to slot it on the inside, and it's Gavel in the wall again off of 2, but we're clean through the order. The top group of cars has made it. Chad Frankenfield now looking to the inside of Ryan Gavel, who struggled off of turn 1. Did not have the pace, kind of got, was Chad Frankenfield now loose off of turn 2. So it looks like these guys are going to be handling a very loose car. all through the night. Ryan Gavel now with that inside run on teammate Tyler Fodey. Looks like the field, though, checking up as we've got another caution out here in the field. Take a look and see what that could potentially be. I do see the 7 car of Corey Abbott a little bit slow. We'll head back to that iRace Online replay, see what we can find. All right, here we go. It is Corey Abbott, who was that car who spun around. You see there, checks up a little bit for some smoke potentially and gets bodied by, I'm not quite sure who that was, but nowhere to go for that 7 car. From behind, he had the 13, and right in front of him, we'll take a look, try and see if we can grab another camera angle there, see who was in front of that car. I believe that was the 64, and it is. There you can see that quick camera angle. That 64 car of Andrew Rucker comes down, slams into the side of Corey Abbott, forcing that 7 car into the wall. My assumption would be an EOL penalty there for the 64 car of Andrew Rucker. I don't see him being sent to the back of the line quite yet, but I fully expect to see that coming here any minute now. That was a certainly a move turned left there mid-corner. That's certainly not a great move there from the 64 car. Looks like he tried to move out of the way to get past another car, didn't know that Corey Abbott was underneath him. Cars on pit road now. You see there the 87 car of Richard Hines, as well as the 64 of Andrew Rucker, both make it down pit road. You also see there Johnny Thomas grabbing 4 tires as well. Marcus Frucknicht, Hank Steinmiller, Ryan Gavel as well hitting pit road for probably that little bit of damage he collected. Joshua Clark, Jeff Green, Tate Lytle. So already just 7 laps into this race. And a lot of cars visiting pit road, potentially for damage, potentially for strategy. 80 laps in this event here tonight. Certainly going to be tough on the tires. We know Pocono is a very tricky track, obviously, hence the name, the Tricky Triangle. But yeah, Ryan Gavel still sitting there on pit road means that R.C. Anderson and Matthew Weeks now makes up the new front row. Alrighty, we got the cars starting to line up 2 by 2. We'll take a look and see what is that pace car saying. We're probably going to have one more lap here before we get ready to go. Green flag racing. If you're watching from home, absolutely feel free to shoot us your questions in the YouTube chat. We'll be happy to answer those live on the air here. I don't, like I said, I don't have my usual partner David Westergreen with me quite yet. Hoping to see him later in the night, joining us up in the booth. Lights are out on the pace car. We're going to see these drivers start lining up 2 by 2. And again, like I said, R.C. Anderson, Matthew Weeks, your front row. It's going to be Tyler Fodey and Colin Fern on that second row. Look for Tyler Fodey to make some moves forward here, potentially if he can get by Matthew Weeks. I expect Colin Fern to be the one now to move back into the second position. And it's going to be who can compete with R.C. Anderson, though. R.C. right now has been looking so strong, especially in qualifying trim. And if we keep having short runs here at Pocono, it's going to be hard to beat that 50 car on any kind of short run. All right, Matthew Weeks this time on the inside line as R.C. Anderson picks the outside. So a bit of a change-up from that last restart. R.C. potentially trying some different things here. At the end of the day, though, I think that 50 car can pick whatever lane he wants when he makes it down to turn 1. With how long of a run we have set up for these guys down that front straightaway here at Pocono, and just yeah, that early launch you can get as the leader off of a restart really can catch that second place driver off guard. Gives you the entire track to work with, arc it however you might want to. So R.C. Anderson then just picking whatever line he might feel like, changing it up, trying to potentially disadvantage some of these other drivers, whatever mind games you can play. That pace car is going to peel right off, and R.C. Anderson on the outside lane now is going to try and get this field started. And there he goes. R.C. Anderson quickly hits that gas pedal, and it's Colin Fern now moving to the outside of the 11 car of Matthew Weeks. Can he slide into position before we get there? And, ooh, we've got a car off the track. Looks like that's the 8 of Josh Robin. He slots back in place, and Colin Fern still not quite able to clear the 11 of Matthew Weeks. Weeks still there with his nose at the rear quarter panel, but there you go. Colin Fern now clears for second position. He's going to start chasing down R.C. Anderson for the lead. Further back, we've got David Tooker fending off Chad Frankenfield. Chad not quite able to get to the back of that 19 car quite yet. Field is through here. Looks like everyone's doing just all right. And Ethan Burrell, how about that? A solid start for this 37 car, has made his way up the order. Also keep an eye out for these guys who pitted on that last caution, who were up front. Johnny Thomas, Ryan Gavel, Jeff Green, Joshua Clark, all of these guys trying to move their way forward, use these fresh tires to their advantage. Right now, Johnny Thomas stuck behind the car that hasn't pitted yet, Zishan Duran, that 0-1, but you're going to see him peeking to that inside lane, trying to see if he can dig his nose in there into turn 1. Johnny Thomas looking to the back of Tate Lytle, trying to see if he can make a move there. You see this great battle we've got going on between Tate Lytle and Caleb Thompson now, and they're 3 wide with Tyler Dixon. Caleb Thompson decides to back out of that move. Tyler Dixon now backing out a little bit, loose off the corner, loose in the middle of the corner, tight off the corner, and that's going to allow Johnny Thomas to slide on through here. Not quite clear yet, and there is a new side draft physics that's been added to these cars in iRacing. We didn't get to talk about it much at Martinsville because you really don't have that same effect, but at a bigger track like Pocono here, these drivers are going to feel that effect of the side draft. You can start to hold other drivers back by when they try to pass you. So this package feeling a lot more and more like the current package that we have in real-life racing. Colin Fern with that fastest lap the last time around. We'll see if he's able to close up on R.C. Anderson. Closed up a little bit through that last corner, but off the corner probably gets a little bit aero tight. Not quite able to get the run off the corner that he needs. Still trying to get to the back of R.C. Anderson is Colin Fern. A little bit further back, we've got a nice battle brewing here between Gerald Campbell, Josh Adams, and Harrison Talon. Josh Adams right now right on the rear bumper of that 31 car, trying to see if he can make a move. Josh Adams has been impressive for sure this season, running full time this year for Ruthless Motorsports, and a great-looking paint scheme on that car as well. And we might have to start, of course, looking for paint schemes of the race throughout this field. Josh Adams certainly a contender. He's going to come a little bit high and kind of cut across there off the corner. See if he can get a move done on this 31 car. Still no overtake for Josh Adams on Gerald Campbell, and still no overtake for Colin Fern on R.C. Anderson up front. The top four remains R.C. Anderson, Colin Fern, Matthew Weeks, and Chuck Sweeting. Though Tyler Fodey trying to make a difference there. We got a great-looking battle going on here for the third position as Matthew Weeks leads from Chuck Sweeting, leads from Tyler Fodey, and Chad Frankenfield. Don't count out David Tooker either in that 19 car behind these guys. Chuck Sweeting looked to the inside of Matthew Weeks, wasn't quite able to get there, but here comes Tyler Fodey, gets his nose on the inside of that 75 car, and Tyler Fodey could slide on through for the fourth position, and he'll do just that. Tyler Fodey now seeing if he can move up on Matthew Weeks, make this longer run work. I unfortunately don't have quite the numbers that you might need to know for tires and fuel consumption here during this race. I'd imagine it's a pretty heavy fuel consumption race. Lots of time on throttle, lots of time sliding those tires through these high banked corners and even the flatter corners. Chad Frankenfield there with potentially a little bit of a scrape off the wall heading into turn 3 there. Doesn't seem to slow him down too much. Could also be a little bit of netcode on our behalf here up in the studio. Right now not able to make much hay on Tyler Fodey. Chuck Sweeting, though, trying to see if he can get to the back of Chad Frankenfield. Chuck Sweeting lost a few positions there after Tyler Fodey moved him, didn't move him up the racetrack, but took that inside line away from him. Forced him a little bit higher up the track in turn 1. Lost him a lot of momentum down that long back straightaway. Dropped him 2 positions, but that doesn't mean that that 75 car doesn't have speed in it anymore. He's still looking very quick. Loose off of turn 3, though. We're going to see if he can try and get past this 15 car. He's closing in. He might look, but he's not going to here into turn 1. Still no move for Chuck Sweeting quite yet. A little bit further back in the pack, we got a little battle there between Tate Lytle and Jordan Owens. Tate Lytle on newer tires there, getting past this 16 car of Jordan Owens. Tate just 10 laps on those tires versus the 17 that everybody in front of him has. Tate Lytle, the guy to look out for, as he's the leader of the guys who pitted on that previous caution. Next car in his line of sight is Alec Balvans in the number 5, running in P16. Here we go as the battle for third intensifies significantly. Matthew Weeks slow off of turn 1. Means that Tyler Fodey is going to look to his inside through the 90-degree corner of turn 2. Weeks is going to come down in front of Tyler Fodey. Not going to let that 40 car by, but Chad Frankenfield tries to get to the back past Fodey. He's going to get checked up, and now that's going to give Chuck Sweeting the move. They're going to be 3 wide into turn 3. Chad Frankenfield in the middle. Is he going to decide better? He's very close. He decides to back out of it. Smart move there by Chad, but that gives that inside to David Tooker now. He's going to try and make the move. They're 3 in a row. Tyler Fodey leads over Chuck Sweeting, over Chad Frankenfield, over David Tooker. Chad Frankenfield, though, not quite done yet with Chuck Sweeting. He's going to look to the inside. He's going to get that inside line in turn 1. Going to once again force Chuck Sweeting higher up the racetrack, though Chuck low off the exit of the corner could potentially grab that over-under here on Chad as Chad kind of drifts up the racetrack, gets tight off of turns 1 and 2, or excuse me, just turn 1 there. That means Chuck Sweeting with that inside line into the 90-degree turn 2. So here we go. Chuck Sweeting now advantage we'd expect, though Chad Frankenfield hanging on the outside. Not for too long, though, as Chuck Sweeting clears his way in front of the 15 car. David Tooker now looking for a way past Chad Frankenfield. He's going to get that inside line, take that away from Chad. It's a flatter corner, though, so Chad could still hold the line on the outside, and he does so. It's going to be a drag race down the front straightaway, and this time Chad has a bit of a draft help there from Chuck Sweeting, and once again clears the number 19 car of David Tooker. Further back in the pack, we've got a little battle going on here as Ethan Burrell closing in on Harrison Talon. Same with Jared Rexing, closing up for this battle for the 10th position, just on the outside there. Looking in for Ethan Burrell and Jared Rexing. You can see there Rexing strong on the entrance to the corner there. We'll see how he tracks off and if he's able to keep that momentum rolling. Not quite able to get to the back of the 37 because the 37's got that help from the 23. But here you go, Ethan Burrell closing up big time on Harrison Talon. Is he going to duck down for the move? He's going to decide better and stay out right now. Ethan Burrell potentially lining up a move, though, on that 23. That DoorDash Route Insurance Company of Harrison Talon. A great-looking car as well. Love that paint scheme, super retro style, but a very solid look as a whole. Ethan Burrell trying to make that outside move work on the 10 car, not quite able to get there. He runs that higher line, though. Jared Rexing, who made that pass on the 37. Ethan Burrell right on the bumper, though. He's not going to decide to make that move to turn 2. He's going to try and line him up or follow him through as they work their way through the field. They're going to try and get past Harrison Talon right now. Burrell, though, falls back a little bit off of Jared Rexing, not quite going to be able to get to the back there. Up front, it is still the RC Enerson show, 1 second ahead of Colin Fern in that 86 car. There you can see the 50 and the gap he's got to second place. The battle, though, for third is still very much on. Tyler Fodey still stalking Matthew Weeks through turn 1 after the front straightaway. Down this back stretch, what can this 40 car do? He likes these longer runs, and we're starting to get to that on these tires. 23 laps completed, and these are long laps, 55, 56 second laps that we've been running here these past couple of times around. These guys are certainly working their long way around here at Pocono. It's probably one of the longest lap times at an oval track here in here on the NASCAR Cup schedule. Here you go, Tyler Fodey finally with that move to the inside. He's got his nose in there, but what can Matthew Weeks do to hold him off? Weeks still has the nose ahead. He still has the advantage off the corner. Probably will be able to out-drag this 40 car here. What can Tyler Fodey do? He's going to slot back in line here. Tried to make that move, but a great drive by Matthew Weeks on that high side through turn 1. Makes it work, stays in the 3rd position. And these guys are slowly closing in a little bit by little on Colin Fern in 2nd position. Could they take away that other position, chase down potentially R.C. Enerson? We'll see what Tyler Fodey can do. If he's got the run off the corner this time by, doesn't quite look like it. It's gonna take him a little bit of time to get to the back of this 11 car. You see that suck up that he's getting here. He's gonna quickly get to the back of the 11 car, but not quite be able to make a move. Let's ride on board with the driver of the number 40 car, Tyler Fodey. Here's what it looks like from inside. You can see him stalking that 11. He is going to look to the inside here on Matthew Weeks. We'll take a look and see what can Fodey do this time, and he is going to slide on through turn 2. That 90-degree corner, easy for Tyler Fodey to take away that line, but Matthew Weeks is not done with him quite yet. He's going to go back to the inside, take the move in turn 3. But they're still side by side. Tyler Fodey hangs on the outside. He's going to get that better run off the corner. Matthew Weeks struggling a little bit, and that means that Chuck Sweeting might be looking to try and make a move here on these guys. Chuck decides to hang with Tyler Fodey. Fodey now on the top side, though, heading through turns 1 and 2. What can Matthew Weeks do? He's got that line, potentially able to take it away, but I think that second groove is really coming in here in turns 1. In turn 1, Tyler Fodey still able to hang on to the 3rd position on the outside. Now slots clear of Matthew Weeks, and Chad Frankenfield now moves into the 5th position. He's going to try and get past Matthew Weeks in the 11 car. It's a big momentum game here at Pocono Raceway. You lose one position, you're at threat of losing multiple guys staying pretty close together and able to keep battles nice and close. We're on lap 26 of 80. Matthew Weeks looks close to this 40 car of Tyler Fodey off the corner. Can he try and do what Tyler Fodey did to him into turn 2? Not quite. Doesn't look like he's able to get there or pull alongside, though. I may have to bite my words. No, I won't, because Matthew Weeks slots back in line here in the 4th position. Thank you all so much once again for tuning in. This is the Signing Day Sports 200 here at Pocono Raceway, the 2021 JoinAPS.com Cup Series in the Elite Racing Leagues. This is the Elite Racing Network. My name is Rishav Khosla, normally joined in the booth by David Westergreen. Unfortunately not with us right now for tonight's race. Hopefully we'll be hearing from him a little bit later in the night to help us finish off this event. Still a long way to go for sure at Pocono, but still a lot of action on the racetrack. Matthew Weeks, Tyler Fodey, Chad Frankenfield, and Chuck Sweeting. This has been a great little scrap we've got going for the 3rd position. Though up front, it has been R.C. Enerson and was Colin Fern checking out up front, but Fern has made that decision to come down pit road on the previous lap. Just completes his first lap after pitting. You might have seen that change. We'll see now what the strategy call is for this 86 car. Stays on the lead lap, crucially, just 40 seconds down pit road. So this could be a very interesting call. Doesn't lose that lap, doesn't have that disadvantage, but now has these very fresh tires. And like you saw, just set the fastest lap of the race, 3 seconds faster than R.C. Enerson on that last lap. Single file down the front straightaway. No real moves trying to be made here right now. Guys settled very much into a rhythm and very much need to kind of use a couple of corners to build up a run. Seems to be the case that they've got here tonight. Not quite able to just throw your car in there and try and hope it sticks. You really have to get it close. And by doing that, or in order to do that, you have to spend a couple of corners, back it up on corner entries, and really focus on getting that run off of these corners. Once again, fastest lap for Colin Fern. He's flying right now in that 86 car, trying to make up as much time as possible, trying to force these leaders into a pit stop that they really don't want to make. I'd expect Fern would be doing a 2-stop here. My expectation is for the rest of the cars to potentially be doing a single stop if they can make it 40 laps on fuel. Chad Frankenfield right on the bumper of the 11 car, and he's now going to start looking to the inside. He's going to dive his nose in there, but he's going to back off, decide better of it there as Matthew Weeks takes away that line. Still enough ahead. And there you go, Matthew Weeks, the first of the leaders really to respond here to Colin Fern's decision to come down pit road. Matthew Weeks we expect to fall a few seconds behind Fern, but the question is now, and it does look like it's going to be a 2-stop strategy for many of these drivers here. We'll take a look and see what some of these other guys decide to do. R.C. Enerson still leads out front. Tyler Fodey, Chad Frankenfield, Chuck Sweeting still your top 4. But a few cars have made that call to come down pit road to make that decision to pit, grab another tank of fuel, some new tires, and try and go for it again. Colin Fern no longer making those very fast lap times that he was, that are setting the timing sheets alight, but still running significantly faster than the lap times of R.C. Enerson, of Tyler Fodey. Fodey off of 3 looks like he's slowing. Could we potentially see that 40 car onto pit road? No, it's not. That's just a trick of the camera there. Johnny Thomas in the 09 car. Looks like he's hitting pit road. Excuse me, no, he's not. A little bit of a glitch there, timing and scoring wise. So no response here immediately, at least, to the moves by Matthew Weeks and Colin Fern from a lot of these leaders. A little bit surprising there. The guys who have run fewer laps, or guys who have just pit recently, Dustin Dewar, Matthew Weeks, like we said, Mark Keeler, Kendall Noah Player, and Brody Moore have all made that decision to come down pit road in the past couple of laps. However, none of the leaders seem to be making that same call outside of the 2 that we named there. Colin Fern, Matthew Weeks hoping that a strategy play can get them back in contention for a race win, as right now it's R.C. Enerson running the show up front, 2.6 seconds over second place here. Chad Frankenfield has closed in on Tyler Fodey. The effect of that draft is immense. You saw there, Chad Frankenfield was about 0.6 of a second behind this 40 car, has closed up now to just under 1/10 of a second. And Frankenfield trying to see if he can grab the second position here, the provisional second position, before these 2 decide to make their pit stops. We'll see when they decide to come down pit road as well, what their strategies are and how they differ. My expectation would be that both of these guys likely to run those cars completely dry before they try and bring them down pit road, try and get as many laps as they can out of them. Update on the guys who just pitted recently. Colin Fern up to the 26th position. There you see him running down the front straightaway, but will, of course, close a significant amount of time, just 26 seconds behind our leaders. Means he'll take over the lead by a large margin when everyone else pits here. The same can be said for Matthew Weeks. Right now sits a little bit outside of that window, can potentially make that overtake on the leader R.C. Anderson with maybe 1 or 2 more laps here as R.C. Anderson decides once again to stay out. Same with Tyler Fodey, same with Chad Frankenfield, but that gap continues to grow as R.C. just continues to dominate this race here at Pocono. 3 seconds clear of second place Tyler Fodey and Chad Frankenfield, both of them working past lap car of Dustin Dewar. And a second on back to Chuck Sweeting, who is becoming increasingly under pressure from the 95 car of Josh Adams. Chuck Sweeting underneath that lapped car of Dustin Dewar. How will that check him up on the exit? Doesn't quite, and actually probably does more to harm Josh Adams here. But Adams going to try and get to the back of the 75 car, see if he can make the move to get up into the 4th position to the inside this 95 car, and he does make it stick on Chuck Sweeting. Sweeting right now seems to be struggling just a little bit there with his tires, trying to get back in position, back in line to stay with these guys up front. Chuck Sweeting looks for not quite able to get back past that 95 car for Chuck Sweeting. He's going to be hanging on. Looks like he's struggling a little bit on those tires. Once again, no response from our leaders still as R.C. Anderson, Tyler Fodey, Chad Frankenfield. Really, this top 10 has still not been down pit road. Battle up front between Tyler Fodey and Chad Frankenfield still is going on here. Frankenfield there falls off a little bit from Tyler Fodey there. I wonder if this is the call for Frankenfield to come down pit road. And it may potentially be, what's the move from this 15 car? No, staying out here, just falling back a little bit from Tyler Fodey. That gap went from 1.5 tenths there all the way up to 8 tenths of a second very, very quickly. Still no decision here to come down pit road, and it looks like we did say that one-stop strategy could be the move here And that looks to be the case. So for Colin Fern, who's down in 22nd position, he's going to be hoping to make some big lap time, but I can tell you he's already dropped off to 55.9s. He's reached that point where he's running similar lap times to R.C. Enerson. So right now, this two-stop strategy for Colin Fern, for Matthew Weeks, not working. Weeks potentially just fell to Colin Fern's trap. R.C. Enerson, Tyler Fodey, Chad Frankenfield have not done so. When can we expect these guys to pit? We have hit the halfway point in this race now, as we finish lap 40. The question is, when do these drivers decide to come down pit road? Do they split it half and half? Do they run those tanks completely dry and then decide to fill them up later on? Looks like that may be the call here, is run these tanks dry, put whatever little bit you need left to make it to the end of this race, and that's what you do. So the question remains, when do these guys come to pit road? R.C. Enerson loose off of turn 3 there. Hanging on, though, Chad Frankenfield right now. Hanging on to the back of Tyler Fodey. Still a few cars who've not come down pit road, but here you go. Joshua Adams in that number 95 car is the first of those real leaders group, that real leaders group there, to decide to come down pit road. He is going to be able to make it to the end on a single stop, we would assume, based off of the fuel consumption we've seen. Despite those two cautions we had at the start of the race, this 95 car then, could he be the one that kind of triggers the rest of this pack to come down pit road? That's going to be a big advantage if he can get it over the rest of the leaders. R.C. Enerson does come low off of turn 3. 50 car then, leader on pit road for the first time this race. Tyler Fodey stays out, though. He's going to take over the lead. Same with Chad Frankenfield. So R.C. Enerson loses the lead for the first time today. Chuck Sweeting and David Tooker both decide to make that pass. So it looks like R.C. Enerson responding to the move by Josh Adams. Josh Robin as well in the 8 car comes down pit road. There's R.C. Enerson, that first spot on pit road. Tyler Fodey, Chad Frankenfield, Chuck Sweeting, David Tooker, Gerald Campbell, and Jared Rexing right now are a few of your drivers who are yet to pit. Ethan Burrell as well is part of that club. He's down in the 9th position. Same with Harrison Talon, Jordan Owens, Alec Balvans, and Zach Evans. A couple of drivers who have yet to see pit road so far in this race. Expect to see them, though, in any lap now, though, as Tyler Fodey, here we go, does dive down into pit road. Same with Chad Frankenfield. We'd expect to see the entire field follow them through. No, we don't, because Chuck Sweeting stays out for another lap. Same with David Tooker. Does anybody else try and get past them as well? Tate Lytle makes that move. He's now, so now we're getting to drivers who are about those 7 laps offset. You see there, Tate Lytle, Marcus Frucknicht, both who are offset 7 laps. They pitted on the second caution of the day, so they're able to run for that little bit extra longer, get those even fresher tires to finish off this race. We look a little bit further back as to the location of R.C. Enerson, who's off of pit road. Currently sits P21, but he's slowly working his way past a lot of the drivers who are down on pit road right now, past Tyler Fodey, who just gets rolling finally. So another big gap for R.C. Enerson. Obviously right now initially has lost out to the 86 car of Colin Fern, but we expect that 86 car is going to have to come down pit road. Already 18 laps completed, already running 56-second laps, while we expect to see RC running in the high 53s. So the only car left that has not hit pit road so far this race, Chuck Sweeting, your leader. Expect to see him, though, in this time around. I'd expect there's no fuel left on board of that 75 car, and there he comes. That hands the lead back over to Tate Lytle and Marcus Frucknicht. Tate running about a second up on the 13 car of Frucknicht. There you see that black car in the back of your shot. That's your second place runner. Same Johnny Thomas on the same strategy as these guys. And then Chuck Sweeting right now off of pit road. Colin Fern, though, kind of on that intermediary strategy. 20 laps older than the guys who just came off pit road. 20 laps newer than the guys who are leading this race. Matthew Weeks as well, 15-lap old tires already, and that means 10th place has just been handed over to R.C. Anderson, just taken over 9th place from Rusty Capel. Rusty on 40-lap old tires there has shown he's been down on pit road, so again, he was one of those guys who pitted on the second caution of the race. In that whole pit cycle, then it was Josh Adams who was the biggest winner. He came in 2 laps ahead of Tyler Fodey, and that threw him into effective second place, or what we'd expect to be a second place here in this race. Can Josh Adams potentially close in on R.C. Anderson? Right now, 6.5 seconds back from our eventual race leader, as we've already got some of the other guys coming down pit road pretty soon here. Richard Hines, Marcus Frucknicht, Andrew Rucker all hitting pit road as R.C. Anderson, Josh Adams slot into 5th and 6th position now. Make that 4th and 6th position as R.C. Anderson continues to fly on by. Josh Clark there again, 40-lap old tires on that 28 car, and R.C. who's on 10-lap newer tires than Matthew Weeks and 15-lap newer tires than Colin Fern, just 5 seconds behind Weeks, just another 8 seconds behind Colin Fern. So right now it's certainly advantage to this 50 car. Has not put a foot wrong all race long. R.C. Anderson right now looks like the man to beat here in Pocono, despite the strategy attempts there by Colin Fern and Matthew Weeks. Tate Lytle, one of the last guys from that group of guys who pitted on the previous caution to come down pit road. R.C. Anderson then is going to take over that 3rd position, chasing down the 2 guys in front of him just a little bit further up the racetrack. For RC, though, as well, he's pretty comfortable from behind as well, a little bit in no man's land right now. 6 seconds back to current 4th place runner Josh Adams, but what we'd expect to be eventual 2nd place runner Josh Adams in that number 95 car. So RC Anderson right now just kind of in a world of his own, doing his own thing, just waiting for Matthew Weeks and Colin Fern to take those cars down to pit road. While we're waiting on that, how about a quick shout out to our sponsor for today's race, and that's Signing Day Sports. Signing Day Sports, their platform that allow parents and players to control their own recruiting. Launched in 2020 and already has 20,000 players on the platform. Signing Day Sports is for recruiting and program management by over 500 colleges and 700 high schools. In addition to football sign day, they'll also be adding baseball, softball, soccer, and basketball in the coming months, so definitely check out Signing Day Sports. They're a great sponsor here of the Elite Racing Leagues, the Elite Racing Network, and of course, the title sponsor for tonight's event here at the Signing Day Sports 200 at Pocono Raceway. Another big shout out, of course, to our premier sponsors here at the Elite Racing Leagues, and that's C2 Freight Resources and Mar Florist. C2 Freight Resources, well, they offer a complete freight management service. They're ready to meet your needs today as well as your changing needs in the future. With thousands of qualified carriers in their database, they're capable of handling shipping for every type of good, from perishable foods to office equipment. With their EDI, or electronic data interchange services, they allow shippers to keep close electronic tabs on their shipments throughout the entire freight movement process. So for more information on C2 Freight Resources and their EDI services, please contact C2 Freight or check out their website. And how about Rich Mar Florist, serving the Lehigh Valley and beyond since 1955. Heck, we're in virtual Pennsylvania here tonight Definitely check out Rich Mar Florist. They've grown into one of the most recognizable floral names in the racing world. How many flower shops can you name that are involved in motorsport? Rich Mar Florist certainly must be one of the ones that are most well known there. They offer delivery around the corner or around the world with simple and easy to use website www.richmarflorist.com. They're proud partners here with Pocono Raceway, Dover International Speedway, and multiple drivers across the series, the National Series in NASCAR. So make sure you support that family-owned company who supports all of your favorite NASCAR drivers, sports, and racetrack. Call or order online today to get your flower needs. R.C. Anderson here at Pocono Raceway, sponsored in association with Rich Mar Florist, closing in on second place Matthew Weeks. Weeks still yet to make his final pit stop of the day as well. So right now this is a big move for R.C. Anderson, just asserting his dominance on this event here, the Sunday Sports 200 at Pocono Raceway. He's going to have that great run off the corner on that last lap. Was an entire second faster than Matthew Weeks, side by side with the 11 car. R.C. Anderson back up into P2. The question is, when do we expect to see Matthew Weeks and Colin Fern come down pit road, and where will they come out? They did increase their advantage pretty significantly, but since have lost it. And right now, by my calculations, I expect to see Colin Fern coming out around the P24 spot. Matthew Weeks coming out around the P26 spot. R.C. Anderson just 2 seconds back from your leader, Colin Fern, right now. Meanwhile, a little bit further back in the pack, it's Gerald Campbell leading over David Tooker for the 7th position. This is one of the closer battles we've got going on here on the track. Two great-looking race cars right there. Loving that scheme from Gerald Campbell, the die-cast dude. Gerald's had a great season, a great comeback from a very difficult season in 2020B. Didn't make it into the chase that time, but right now sits 3rd place in the points behind Ryan Gavel and Johnny Thomas. I mean, that top 4 in the point standings, none of them have been to victory road yet this season, which has been very, very interesting to say the least. 5th and 6th place, Josh Robin and Matthew Weeks, though, have in fact visited victory lane in some of the biggest races we've had this season. Josh Robin at the Bristol night race, the SMRI night race, and Matthew Weeks, of course, winning the Daytona 500 right at the start of the season. Ooh, loose there for David Tooker as Chuck Sweeting comes up behind him. But Tooker now looking to that inside of the 31 car of Gerald Campbell. Going to try and slide it on for 7th position here. Can he get by, though? Again, this flatter Milwaukee Mile style corner, turn 3, means that, that Gerald Campbell able to hold it pretty well on the outside there. And you can see there, Gerald still there on the outside, but right now it looks like advantage David Tooker, and he will clear the 31 car, but Campbell smart brings it down in front of Chuck Sweeting to make sure that that 75 car doesn't capitalize on that move, and the 31 car doesn't lose a ton of momentum. He's going to try and come back at David Tooker, though, and you see Tooker defending to the inside line, and he's going to try and force Gerald Campbell the long way around turn 2. Campbell surely can't be thinking about an outside move through there. He won't. He's going to dive back to the bottom side, and he's going to get a little bit loose there off the corner, slides him up the racetrack, and that's going to give that position to David Tooker pretty definitively. Gerald Campbell going to have to come up with another move, try and get the run off of turn 3 down the long, long front straightaway, see if he can take over that lead. Up front, it is R.C. Anderson back in the lead. He's just taken that over from Colin Fern. Expect to see Colin Fern, though, visiting pit road any lap soon. You did just see that puff of smoke. Want to see what driver that was? That was Zishan Dura in the 01 car. Slides it off the racetrack. Looks like he just got loose in turn 1. Does bring out the caution. And that can certainly shake up our race here today. We'll head to the iRace Online replay and take a look at exactly what happened there. If you are Colin Fern and Matthew Weeks, you're probably hoping you had pitted in the past couple of laps there. You would have been on that lead lap. You would have been able to stay out while many of these other guys would have felt it necessary to come down pit road. Here's Zishan Dura, that blue 01 car at the back of your screen here. Let's take a look. Looks like he might have just gotten a little bit loose there in turn 1. It was actually the 99 car checked up into him. And there he goes around. Zishan Dura slides it off the racetrack, slow rejoining, and that's what brings out our third caution of the night. The question now is, with 13 laps on their tires, is everybody coming down pit road? And if that's the case, could this be a victory here for Colin Fern and Matthew Weeks? Not a race victory, but a strategy victory here. Because if R.C. Anderson, Tyler Fodey, Chad Frankenfield all feel that 12 laps on their tires is too much to be comfortable here to make it to the end, especially on an aggressive restart, this could certainly shake things up and put those guys back in the race after that early tire strategy call. So here we go. This should be the lap that they open up pit road, and this should tell us exactly what the strategy is. This could be a very important pit stop, a very important caution for this race, because we'll see, my assumption is potentially some split decisions at the very most in terms of cars staying out, 50-50, but I would, if I was a race engineer on the pit wall here, I'd be bringing my driver down for sure. It seems like fresh tires are crucial here, and looks like many drivers agree with me. We're going to see all of these guys down pit road. R.C. Anderson, the first car down to pit speed limiter. He's going to bring that car all the way to that very first pit box and try and stay ahead of the 86 of the 11 of anybody else who tries to challenge him down pit road. Scott Haney with the call to stay out here. Just that one car making the call. Could be for a lap-led point. We'll keep an eye out there. Looks like a couple of cars might have actually missed their spot on pit road, as Josh Robin and Richard Hines both drive on and off pit road without hitting their pit boxes. There you see everybody diving off pit road, and so it's advantage R.C. Anderson over Colin Fern. Then you got Matthew Weeks, Tyler Fodey, Chad Frankenfield, David Tooker, Josh Adams, your top 10. The question now is Haney, Robin, and Hines. What's the plan for those guys? There you see Scott Haney, your current race leader. He did not come down pit road. Josh Robin and Richard Hines did hit pit road, but it looks like they both missed their pit boxes. We expect to see the 8 and 87 cars back down to grab some service, grab some fresh tires there. Scott Haney, I would expect to see that as well. Laps cars will get the opportunity to come down pit road this time by, or to get their wave around. You can see there your running order on the left-hand side of your screen. Scott Haney, your current leader, over Josh Robin, Richard Hines. There you see Haney dives to pit road. Looks like that's Robin as well, and Richard Hines as well. So there you go, your top 3 who stayed out all come down pit road. Again, like we thought, Robin and Hines, looks like they missed their pit boxes. They'll make it down. And again, that hands over the lead to R.C. Anderson. Colin Fern will have that second starting position. Potentially a big disadvantage here for the driver of that 86 car, because we talked about at the start of the race how that can potentially be disadvantageous for the driver starting on the outside, starting in second position, because they can't react just as quickly to the leader going as the guys who are directly behind the 50 can. So look for Colin Fern to try his best to stay in line here, try his best to stay with the second position, but look for Matthew Weeks to try and capitalize. Look for Tyler Fodey, Chad Frankenfield to try and capitalize on this 86 car, potentially struggling to make a move up the order. They are 2x2. We expect to go back to green flag racing this time by. We're going to have 22 laps to go when we hit the green flag. Lights out on the pace car. R.C. Anderson with the inside line choice this time. We'll see how that fares for him. Once again, That lane choice doesn't seem to matter too significantly to the leader of the race. He's able to go at a separate pace almost to, or at a separate time to the guy in second place and pick and choose his own lane. It's obviously almost a safety thing, I guess, to make sure that you're in the better lane in case the guy on the outside gets a great restart. But let's take a look and see, what does RC decide to do? When does he decide to take that car back to green? When does he decide to hit the gas pedal? We're going to figure it out here. Potentially a nice little 20-lap green flag run to the end here. Big strategy implications, shaking up the field just a little bit. RC Anderson back on the throttle pedal, back to green flag racing. And again, clear of the 86 car. 86, though, not clear of Matthew Weeks. And Weeks, with his nose just in there, he's going to potentially try and get in past Colin Fern into turn 1. But look out for Tyler Fodey. He almost made that look down to the bottom of the 11. And Colin Fern squeezing the 11. And there he goes, sliding up the racetrack. Colin Fern, though, keeps it pointed in the right direction. He's going to lose a ton of positions, and we saw this at Martinsville, where Fern on restarts just a little bit too aggressive there into the first corner, tries to take it all in turn 1, and we saw just how that fared at Martinsville and how that fared once again here at Pocono. Though right in front of him, they are fighting hard. Marcus Frucknicht taking them 3 wide with Gerald Campbell and Josh Adams to the inside for Frucknicht, and they're going to stay there 3 wide through turn 3. Ooh, he's going to slide up into Gerald Campbell. Gerald has to check up to avoid, and he's going to lose some momentum down this front straightaway. Could lose positions to Colin Fern, to Chuck Sweeting as well. Tyler Fodey up in 3rd position, defending from Chad Frankenfield, who's trying to look around the outside lane now. Gets a little bit too high up. Frankenfield's going to lose that run off the corner, but he doesn't have too much of a threat from behind. It's Weeks right now who's trying to see if he can chase down RC Anderson, though it's going to be a tricky job for sure. Marcus Frucknicht side by side with David Tooker down the back straightaway. He's going to have the preferred line into turn 2. Is he going to get that job done, or can Tooker hang on the outside? Frucknicht with the advantage, but Tooker with the run off the corner. That 19 car not giving up, and here comes Colin Fern. He made an aggressive move to get back here. He's going to try and make an aggressive move to get back up front. We've seen this time and time again with this 86 car. Really just aggressive on entry with a lot of these drivers. You see there, almost takes out some guys, having to check up behind him as he comes off the corner. Chuck Sweeting very kind there to give him a bit of a push down the straightaway, as Sweeting kind of trapped in between Johnny Thomas and Colin Fern. Fern slides on by David Tooker for the 8th position here. Though Tooker not quite done with him. A big defensive move from Colin Fern. Tooker back to the outside of Fern, and Fern makes another defensive move. Man, oh man, some very aggressive driving here from this 86 car. Again, something we're used to seeing, but here at this high-speed track, we're used to seeing this at short tracks, but when you're running this high speed, so many cars so close together in a pack, we've seen this end pretty horribly for a lot of the drivers involved, but thankfully some smart driving by David Tooker, by Johnny Thomas, to make sure that they don't get involved, as Colin Fern completes another lap with some pretty heavy defensive moves, some pretty aggressive defensive moves as well, though. David Tooker still going to look to the inside. He's going to try and make that move work. Fern, though, cuts him off right before the corner. It's going to be tricky for David Tooker to make the move to get into the 8th position. Colin Fern there, you see, overshoots the corner and once again loses positions because of it. We see this time and time from that 86 car. Just a little bit too aggressive, especially he falls back in the pack. And that now leads to potentially some chaos here. The 42 car right now hanging on the inside of Vincent Isabella to the inside of Colin Fern there. Still sitting there, and he should have that preferred line. We'll see what Fern decides to do, trying to run and keep the momentum going on that top lane. Up front, R.C. Anderson hasn't quite been able to jump away to the same gap that he was earlier in the race, up to just about 7/10 of a second over second place Matthew Weeks. The battle right now is really for third place between Tyler Fodey and Chad Frankenfield. A good little scrap going on here. These guys have been battling all throughout this race. You see them a little bit 2-3 wide further back, but we got some close racing up front as well, even though it's not quite side by side. Matthew Weeks closed a little bit on R.C. Anderson on that past lap, down to about 6/10 of a second, down from the earlier 7 or 8/10 that we had it at. But still a lot of progress if Matthew Weeks wants to try and catch this 50 car. We certainly know this 11 car is great on these larger than 1.5 mile racetracks. That's really where he starts to shine, and we're seeing that again here tonight at Pocono. Matthew Weeks running a solid second, made that strategy call, but was still pace-wise a third or second place car. You see there, though, further in the back, Johnny Thomas in the 09 car with a big dive to the inside, loses the position to Chuck Sweeting, potentially loose off of the corner. We'll take a look here. That's your championship leader, Johnny Thomas, in that Manscaped car. He's going to try and come back, though, to Chuck Sweeting, trying to make that move to the inside, trying to get back into the 9th position. Back to the battle for third position. Tyler Fodey versus Chad Frankenfield. Gap between these two just under 1/10 of a second. Chad Frankenfield closing in really tightly to Tyler Fodey. He's going to look to the inside. Can he get to the bumper? He's not quite able to do that. Chad Frankenfield not quite able to get to the inside of Tyler Fodey in that IRAPS Blue Egg Marketing number 40 car. Time for us to probably start thinking about that pain of the race here. Unfortunately, looks like we won't have David Westergreen able to join us, and we're not able to get his artistic expertise, which of course is unfortunate, because it's always cool to see some of the cars he really likes. I am a big fan of this 95 car. I like kind of those real life flames there, that grill kind of look. Though I'm certainly partial to this 23 car. I think an exceptional black and orange or black and red scheme there. Obviously, it looks like based off of the real-life Bubba Wallace scheme for Harrison Talon. Right now, kind of feeling like that's my pain of the race. I'll do a little bit of digging as well as we flip through some other drivers in the field, try and see what other paint schemes really stand out to us. Tyler Fodey drops to the 4th position, though, up front as Chad Frankenfield makes that move for 2nd place, or excuse me, 3rd place. He's going to try and see if he can move up to Matthew Weeks as we're coming up to 12 or 13 laps to go in this particular race. Once again, this is the Signing Day Sports 200 at Pocono Raceway, the Tricky Triangle. Tyler Fodey, who had good long-run speed earlier on in the race, losing that position out to Chad Frankenfield. We'll see if he's able to fight back, though has since lost a little bit of time. The next closest battle on the racetrack here for the 6th position between Marcus Frucknicht and Josh Adams. Two very nice-looking race cars there. Marcus, not a charter driver this season, so been trying to come in here race by race, do well as well as he can here. Has run extremely strong. Currently sits 22nd in points, though hasn't been to all of the races that we've had so far this season, but has run very strong the races that he has competed in. Outside of the Daytona 500, it's been all top 5 finishes for this number 13 car. Currently sits P7, though. He's going to have a couple more overtakes to do if he wants to keep that run going. No driver this season has had more top 5 finishes, or excuse me, no more top 10 finishes than Ryan Gavel, the 2nd place driver in points. But right now, Gavel sits in the 14th position. It's been a very strange fall from grace almost for this number 1 car. An extremely consistent start to the season. 8th place at Daytona, and then a string of top 5 results with Auto Club Milwaukee and Watkins Glen. Once again, top 6 at Bristol, and then 30th at Las Vegas, 15th at Martinsville. Currently sits 15th here at Pocono as Colin Fern makes the move on him. Not quite been the second half to the season that Ryan Gavel's been hoping for. Some momentum certainly lost behind this one car. Hoping to try and grab that back, though. He's going to try and show that he's still got it because he held it on the outside there through turn 2 here at Pocono. Not going to allow that 86 car by. Chad Frankenfield continues to close that gap to Matthew Weeks in second position, and here we go. It's closer than ever. Frankenfield right now with the huge momentum, trying to make this a Mar Florist 1-2 as it might stand. Right now has to get past Matthew Weeks to finish second place to his teammate R.C. Anderson, but your reigning champion knows how to get it done, knows how to get these runs done in the late race, has really figured out what was his Achilles heel earlier on last season, which was tire conservation. Chad Frankenfield with a really strong long run here at Pocono, 13 laps into this, with better tire wear by the looks of it than Matthew Weeks and Tyler Fodey. Better pace in general on that 15 car. On that last lap was about 0.4 of a second faster than Weeks as he closed in big time. Watch this 15 car. He might be making the move on this next lap here as we come to 10 laps to go. What can Frankenfield do? Can he grab a second position, make this a 1-2 finish for Mar Florist Esports? Again, Mar Florist, a partner here with Pocono Raceway, so how fitting would that be? Out here in Pennsylvania, out here with a partner racetrack to see their team grab a 1-2. Chad Frankenfield, though, has to pass Matthew Weeks, and Matthew Weeks is a very stout driver on these 2.5-mile racetracks. These larger than 2-mile racetracks, you certainly cannot count out that 11 car, and he's been showing it all race long. Took a little bit of a different way to get to this point. Had good pace early on, but pitted early. Got a lucky yellow to keep him in the second position and has not relinquished it since, though he's going to have to hold on for another 9 laps over Chad Frankenfield, who is on a tear right now in that 15 car. Here we go. Chad Frankenfield to the inside of Matthew Weeks. Can he get there? He is side by side off the corner, but we'd expect that run to go back towards Matthew Weeks, who should have the run off the corner with that higher line, but Frankenfield staying there, side drafting that 11 car, preventing him from running away, and now Frankenfield with the advantage as he has that inside line into turn 2. Chad Frankenfield up to the second position, and you can see just how much that checked up Matthew Weeks. That now might give Tyler Fodey a run within the next lap or so, assuming Matthew Weeks isn't coming back at Chad Frankenfield. Though again, if these two continue to squabble, the two drivers who take the biggest advantage from that are R.C. Anderson, your leader, who continues to pull out a gap, and Tyler Fodey, who's trying to grab a podium finish here in that number 40 car for Lake Norman Motorsports. Here we go, Fodey looking to the inside of Weeks, and he's going to dive it in there. He gets his nose inside of the 11, slides up into third position, and there we go. Tyler Fodey, Matthew Weeks, in the span of just a lap, has lost 2 positions now. Matthew Weeks hoping to grab that momentum back in his favor, try and get a podium finish out of this race. He is going to look to the inside at turn 2 of Tyler Fodey, slides to the inside. Can he get there, though? Not quite able to, as Tyler Fodey stays clear of the 11 car. So Matthew Weeks certainly doesn't want to lose out here. Right now, 4th and 5th place for Pro Edge Racing Toyotas, with David Tooker and Ethan Burrell running 9th and 12th, and the 28 car of Josh Clark down in 23rd position. Tate Lytle certainly could be looking forward to this good result. Has had 0 top 10s this season. Could be on for a top 5 finish here. It's crazy to say that. The man who made it to the Final Four in Xfinity last season was extremely competitive all through last Cup Series last season. Just has not had the luck here 3 finishes outside of the top 30 from 5 races. Just 1 finish inside the top 20 this season, despite having a pole position to his name. Really has not been the year that, or the season that Tate Lytle has been hoping for. Trying to potentially win his way into the chase might not be done today, but a good points day never hurts. So again, just trying to slowly build that momentum back in the right direction for Tate Lytle. Up right behind this battle, though, Marcus Frucknick trying to still get past Josh Adams, and he's there to the inside, and almost gets Josh Adams loose on that top line as Adams tries to come down on Frucknick. That does open up the gap between them, as I believe Marcus Frucknick had to check up for that number 95 car. Matthew Weeks may be set to lose another position here. It just looks like that 11 car might have burned through his stuff a little too quickly. Tate Lytle, now we were just talking about him and the horrid season he's had, but he's looking to try and get past his teammate, be the leading Pro Edge Racing Toyota at the end of the day here, and try and score some big points. Try and vault him out of the current, let's see, Tate Lytle currently sits 37th in the point standings again. Has not at all been his season. Right on the back bumper of that 11 car, Tate Lytle, can he get the run down into turn 2? He's peeking to the inside. He just needs to line up that timing just right. He's not quite going to be there. Might try to get it on either the short chute here if he has a good run off of 2, or set it up out of turn 3 to get it down the long front straightaway. We are 5 laps to go, though, as R.C. Anderson crosses that start-finish line. We'll be headed to 4 laps to go in just a second. This race went by pretty quickly, guys, didn't it? Just 1.5 hours done so far. Minimal cautions, thankfully. Great behavior by a lot of these drivers throughout the grid. Some very solid racing. Definitely difficult to overtake, but not impossible. They seem to improve this package here at Pocono Raceway, giving us still some entertaining racing to watch. At the end of the day, it is the strongest car we think is the victorious one, as R.C. Anderson has been just utterly dominant here. Matthew Weeks builds up that gap a little bit over Tate Lytle once again. As further back, that battle for 6th position still raging on between Josh Adams, Marcus Frucknick, and Chuck Sweeting. Might try and get and join in on some of this action here. We'll see how this battle continues to play out as the laps wind down. R.C. Anderson, 3 laps to go in this race. Like I said, it's gone by very, very quickly. And it's been a dominant run for that number 50 car. Outside of that, that off-cycle pit stop challenge from the likes of Colin Fern, from Matthew Weeks, from Tate Lytle as well, and that other group of drivers who pitted on the second caution of the day, really has just been the R.C. Anderson show. He hasn't relinquished that lead. He hasn't really been challenged for that lead. Marcus Frucknick was loose there. Same with Josh Adams, and these guys still duking it out for the 6th position. We're going to come to 2 laps to go as R.C. Anderson crosses the line at Pocono. Just 5 miles remaining for the leaders here. What can Marcus Frucknick do? He's going to get there to the back bumper of this 95 car. Josh Adams is going to run him all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. Marcus Frucknick, though, not going to allow that. He's going to stay on the bottom, slide down the inside through turn 1, and try and stay up there. Try and prevent himself from getting too tight off the corner and giving up that run to Adams. Adams, though, slices on back to the inside of Frucknick. He's going to bring Chuck Sweeting with him to the inside. Can Sweeting make it by Marcus Frucknick as well? Nope. He's going to stick behind right now as these two stay side by side. Frucknick's going to try the run on the outside. He's going to stay there. Make sure he doesn't get that wall off of turn 2. He does a good job, and they're 3 wide heading down the short chute. 3 Chevrolets in a row. Marcus Frucknick, Josh Adams, Chuck Sweeting all in a row as R.C. Anderson hits 1 lap to go. What a battle we've got raging on here for the 6th position as Chuck Sweeting looks like the one to be taking the most advantage off of the corner. He's going to have one of the worst runs, though, off of here, and it's going to be Marcus Frucknicht who leads this battle for 6th position. What a great battle we've got going on here. You see some big defensive moves further back. Believe that's Gerald Campbell and Jared Rexing trying to defend from each other, and Frucknicht over Adams over Sweeting now for the 6th position. Tate Lytle hasn't quite been able to get to the back of Matthew Weeks. Frankenfield, Fodey have been separated up front. It's still R.C. Enerson, though, all the way in the lead. No one able to touch this number 50 car. R.C. Enerson, what a drive he's put on here today. Led the majority of the laps, dominated during these long runs. Figured out a lot of that tire wear issue that he's struggled with a little bit at the earlier stages of this season. R.C. Enerson wins the Signing Day Sports 200 at Pocono Raceway, his 2nd victory of the season. The battle for 6th place rages on, but this time it's spread out more. Marcus Frucknicht wins that battle over Chuck Sweeting, over Josh Adams over Chuck Sweeting. Here are your finishing results. R.C. Enerson wins over Chad Frankenfield, Tyler Fodey, Matthew Weeks. Tate Lytle grabs his first top 5 of the season. Crazy to be saying that. Marcus Frucknicht beats Josh Adams and Chuck Sweeting in that epic battle there, with David Tooker and Ethan Burrell finishing out that top 10. Scrolling through here is the rest of your top 20 finishers. Again, great day for a lot of these drivers. Ryan Gavel, the big surprise there, down towards the back of the pack with a 15th place finish outside of the Las Vegas Oval race, where he got taken out, finished in the 30th position, tied with Martinsville as his worst points-paying position this season. So some momentum, not really going the direction of Ryan Gavel. He's got to see if he can fix that. There's the rest of your top 30 there. Corey Abbott getting taken out there early on in the race. And there you see the rest of the drivers who didn't quite make the finish. Ryan Barbieri filling in for Ryan Lutz in that 36 car, driving that 36 charter there. Not the debut that he wanted. Taken out early on in the race with that netcode spin from, looks like it was Caleb Thompson, I believe it was, and David Leininger. That took him out of this race and wasn't able to quite bring it home. Potentially expect to see Ryan Barbieri finishing off the season in this 36 car off of some of the rumors we're hearing from that 36 camp. We'll keep you updated, but the celebrations are certainly in order for R.C. Enerson, burning it down here for the virtual fans at Pocono Raceway. What a drive there by that 50 car. An impressive run for R.C. Enerson. Waiting here up in the broadcast booth, trying to see if we can get any of those drivers to join the waiting room, see if we can talk to any of our top 3 finishers here tonight. Still waiting on a couple of drivers here, see what we can wait and find. Hopefully we'll get a couple of drivers joining us up here in the waiting, or up here in the broadcast booth in just a minute. Waiting to see who decides to pop up. Once again, guys, I want to shout out there in the top 10, obviously Tate Lytle. It's been such a tough season to come back, grab that top 5. That's the kind of performances we expect to see from that 56 car. Right there with teammate Matthew Weeks, David Tooker, Ethan Burrell, 4 of those Pro Edge Racing Toyotas inside that top 10. We'll bring in 4 starters here. We'll bring in our 2nd place finisher, Chad Frankenfield. Chad, man, what a great final run there. Really figured out that tire wear issue that you were having last season. Was able to get past Fodey, who a lot of us regard as one of the best saving tires. Closed in on Matthew Weeks, made that move there. Made that a Mar Florist 1-2 finish out here in Pennsylvania. How's that got to feel?
You know, I didn't realize qualifying was going to be so important.
We have Chad Frankenfield quite with us. Going to just make sure that... here we go. Chad, you got a copy?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We got Chad Frankenfield. Excuse me just one second here. Yeah, Chad, man. figured out some of those tire wear issues like we talked about a little bit, but really just impressive getting that long run pace in that final stint there, getting past Tyler Fodey, past Matthew Weeks, 1-2 finish for Mar Florist Esports in Pennsylvania at Pocono Raceway, an important track for them. How's that got to feel for your team?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we were I didn't think qualifying was going to be as important as it was. It was really tough to pass. So, that was the biggest thing. But yeah, I felt like I had speed to maybe get RC if we would have been on even tires. But it is what it is. I mean, it was a great race, so I'm glad RC won. Good points finish on my end. Awesome racing with Fodey, Chuck, Weeks, Tooker. It was a lot of fun up front.
Absolutely. Kind of crazy to think that this is the first time we've really been talking to you this season. First top 3 of the year. Coming off of that championship run, certainly haven't been super lucky with a lot of the results, getting caught up in a couple of incidents in some of the races, but certainly pushing that momentum back in the right direction as we get close to chase racing.
Yeah, I think I looked at it. I think this was like my 5th or 6th straight top 15. I think Auto Club was a race I probably had a shot at winning. Watkins Glen was a race I might have had a shot. So I have some points out there, but the biggest thing is to be in a position going into the chase. So, but yeah, it's great. I want to thank myraceparts.com, Mar Florist, C2 Freight, JoinAPS.com, Signing Day Sports. Thank you for broadcasts. I know David might have some issues tonight, so I'm glad you were able to get through that tonight. But yeah, just want to thank you again.
Absolutely, man. Congratulations on P2 here.
Yep.
All right, Chad Frankenfield there, your second place finisher. We'll bring in our race winner for the second time this season, RC Anderson. RC, man, I mean, if you look up the definition of domination in the dictionary, it's going to show a picture of this run. What a race, man.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, I was honestly quite surprised by the race pace, but as you probably saw, it was really difficult to get by people. So having the clean air there, I didn't have to push too hard, and Colin wasn't able to get close enough for the pass. So that clean air really helped.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one thing we definitely have heard from you earlier in the season was struggling a little bit with getting tire wear, figuring that part out on these long runs. That one-lap pace was definitely there at all of the racetracks now that we're hitting, but making sure you're able to maintain that pace through the run. What kind of worked for you here at Pocono? Because it didn't seem that you were dropping off much faster than anybody else. That didn't seem to change much. Yes, it was hard to pass, but we did see overtakes when guys burned through their tires a bit too quickly.
Yeah, I think I figured it out. Before I wasn't changing, before I couldn't deal with tire wear, I wasn't changing my steering ratio. So I was going back now, and I was just focusing on the long run. So I was qualifying on the long run steering rack, and that's where I wasn't getting much qualifying pace at the beginning of the season here. And then I decided for qualifying, I might as well just do a little more practice than I usually do, and run a couple quali sims, and then go out for the long run. And changing the steering rack back and forth really helped. So we definitely had the qualifying pace, but I thought I was going to fall off a little bit, but I saw how hard it was to pass, so it wasn't too hard to hold everybody off.
All right, yeah, for sure. And before we quickly let you go here, obviously, currently sit outside the points by a little bit of a margin here. 2 wins, though, on the season, and unfortunately don't meet the attendance requirements to have those wins count towards the chase. What are you able to do, outside of just, basically just winning every single race here to try and get yourself in the chase? Is that even still possible points-wise for you? Is that something you're still thinking about?
Yeah, and then me and Chad as teammates, we got 1 and 2, so he's racking up tons of points. I know I have to get in on points, so I need that, and he's pretty high up in the points deal. So if I take a wins away from people and I can get that points to bring me back up and get in through points rather than wins, rather than letting people get locked in, that's kind of the goal. So not have as many locked in people and have more points people be in, so then I can possibly get in on the points.
All right, man. Well, before we let you run here, we're going to give you a chance to make any shout-outs here on the air.
Yeah, obviously Lucas Oil School Racing, and then Chad with Mar Esports, and just all you up here in the booth. I know you guys normally have like 2 or 3 guys up here, but yeah, just it's so much fun to do this league, and I can't wait to show up every week. And as long as I'm in town, you bet I'll be here.
Awesome to hear that, man. Congratulations. Win number 2 of the season. Building a lot of momentum here in the Cup Series, RC.
Thanks, Rich.
All right, RC Anderson, your race winner there, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like we'll have Tyler Fodey joining us up in the booth tonight. Saw him briefly, but don't see him sitting in the waiting room right now. So with that, we're going to close off and kind of give some quick final thoughts here on this event. I mean, of course, the big thing is the domination from R.C. Anderson. Really, really strong run, like we talked about there. He's going to have to point his way into the chase, but that's exactly how you do it. He can keep grabbing these wins, prevent guys from winning their way into the chase, taking away some of those spots here. So, again, another really strong run for R.C. Anderson, becomes just the second two-time winner this season. Also, again, shout out to Tate Lytle, trying to get that season a little bit back on track. The chase might be out of touch for him right now, outside of a win. But, of course, just trying to get those points, get back into the rhythm of where you're used to being. So big shout out for Tate Lytle. And, of course, Chad Frankenfield, first podium of the season, back on track. Tyler Fodey as well, fell back for so many races there. This is just his second top three. His first one came last week at Martinsville when he won the entire race. So, again, some changes up. Guys who aren't necessarily, we're used to seeing finish top three at the front, but names that we should expect to start seeing. So haven't quite been having the best seasons, but great races by all these guys, great runs. And Matthew Weeks, of course, hanging on there for P4, bringing it home. Always expect to see that 11 car running up front at these bigger racetracks. With that, we're going to conclude here from Pocono. Finishing up here tonight. April 7th is the next scheduled race, according to the schedule that I have on me, and that's going to be at Charlotte Motor Speedway on the oval there for the World 300. Not doing that full World 600 that we did last year or last season, but still going to be a very tricky race for these guys. It's going to be a little bit of a longer one, making sure they get through it and focus on that long run pace. But with that, I want to thank you all for watching at home. I want to thank Signing Day Sports, our sponsor for the event, the Signing Day Sports 200 here at Pocono Raceway, Mar Florist Racing, C2 Freight Resources, and, of course, the Elite Racing Leagues and Elite Racing Network. So, with that being said, I've been Rishav Khosla. Happy to bring you guys the action from Pocono Raceway here tonight for the 2021 JoinAPS.com Cup Series. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next Wednesday.